Nope, not an April Fool's joke. Aday Mara reportedly not returning to UCLA.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for your support. And where we're going to get started today, the big news coming out of Bruin Report Online, the Bruin Report, and also brought up by LA Times. Bruin Report had it first. Aday Mara is not returning to UCLA. I saw it from Bruin Report. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. And there's way. Now, it hasn't become public yet from Aday Mara's perspective, but this is not good for UCLA. What was expected to be a roster that could contend, that was simply a point guard away, maybe some Mick Cronin nonsense away where they could just start the kid and get him more minutes, more touches, more anything. And now he's gone. And I don't understand the people who didn't like Aday Mara. I don't think that's a big camp of UCLA fans, but man, him not returning to UCLA, that news that broke from Bruin Report is just devastating. Just over the weekend, it seemed like, okay, he's okay. And if you go back to the earlier episode I did about Merez Johnson Jr. of Illinois, this is a similar situation that played out in Champaign. And I talked about this, but I'll bring it up again. Merez Johnson Jr., who UCLA is supposed to be in on and is now probably one of the few main targets for UCLA to fill a role, I should say, that Aday Mara leaves a gaping hole in the middle of the lineup for UCLA at the 5. Merez Johnson Jr., I was listening to Locked On Illini, Fighting Illini, Locked On Illinois with Sonny. I've seen some Illini Inquirer, and I even saw Sleepers Media talk about this, all different sources, about how he was ready to come back to Illinois. This is Merez Johnson Jr. And then all of a sudden, a weekend later, he is in the transfer portal. And now all these teams are contacting him, including UCLA, according to John Rothstein. Here's Aday Mara, who I think I read about. Bruin Report talking about this. There's no indication that Aday Mara wouldn't come back to UCLA, other than the weird answer he gave at the end of the season, post Tennessee, where I'm gonna go rest get to Spain, get home, and see what happens. Now there was some concern afterwards in the next week. It looked like, okay, the negotiations are going good, but Aday Mara is not supposed to return, according to multiple sources, starting with Bruin Report. Ben Bolch of the LA Times has put it out, and now it's slowly making its waves late the night before April Fool's. I mean, this is just ridiculous. These are the numbers for UCLA 7-3 center. And hey, by the way, if he doesn't return, think about that class of 2023. You've got all those guys gone, and Mara was supposed to be the best of them all returning, and now he's not even returning. In his sophomore season, Mara, which started slow because of a foot injury. Okay, he had an off-season foot injury, and Mick Cronin was like, I need this guy to get stronger, which was clear after his freshman campaign. There's a little promise, but we needed more. And he gave us so much more. The numbers don't look the best, right? 6 points per game, you look at it, 4 rebounds. But his impact was felt when he dominated that Wisconsin game. 22 points on 7 of 7 shooting, 5 boards. He was, with 5 blocks, he was dominant against a Wisconsin team that had multiple 7-footers and game planned specifically to stop him when UCLA faced him in the Big Ten tournament. When the Bruins had him out there in their victory against Utah State in the tournament, clear impact. When he was scrapping and clawing his way against Tennessee, he had a clear impact, but obviously got tired. UCLA has no depth at that position. So that means they lost William Kyle III, who's already committed to Syracuse. Aday Mara, I'm not really sure what his plans are. If it's a big payday in NIL, if it's just going back home and playing internationally in Europe to work, maybe play with the Spanish national team at some point in his career. Obviously, that's not a goal right now, but maybe he does one of those things. Oh, by the way, what happened today in terms of big commitments? A lot of the best big men in the transfer portal all were getting commits. I think, what was it? The Bucknell big man, You had South Dakota State's big man, right? They all were finding new homes and committing today. Today, they were doing that. And UCLA's losing Mara, who if you had told them a couple of days ago, or this all of a sudden went one way or the other, maybe UCLA has been ahead of the situation, that's really bad. They went from elite preseason paper odds to, UCLA is going to play small ball. And we saw Bilodeau at the 5. That didn't really work as well. They needed a center, and the difference was clear when Mara was on the court. Now, maybe there's something that could change. But now that it's coming out more and more that he's not coming back, this is a devastating blow to UCLA's early portal wins by getting Donovan Dent. This is now, because he's not officially entered the transfer portal or anything, you could deem this the 5th Bruin to enter the transfer portal. Now, he hasn't officially, and he may not enter the portal. He may not even go and play college ball. That might not be his goal right now. That's still so devastating to UCLA. Now you look at Morez Johnson Jr. UCLA maybe didn't have a role for him if he didn't want to play as the bench guy. Look, there's a starting 5 position. I'm not sure if Morez Johnson Jr. wants to be the former Illinois player, Mr. Illinois, come to UCLA and be the 5. But hey, we have a starting spot. You're guaranteed to play. Mick Cronin will leave you out there and you will play a lot of minutes. Trust me. And that's still on top of UCLA needing a starting wing as a 3. And they need another backup big man. Okay, Mick, get on your phone right now and call Magoon Guath. Go call the former San Diego State guy that's about to be maybe bought by Michigan or Kentucky, who have been in on him. I haven't seen the latest as of this moment. And then I saw earlier today that he might even entertain coming back to San Diego State. UCLA should call Magoon and be like, hey, we've got a lump of cash with your name on it. Just move a couple hours north to Westwood, and you have got a spot solidified, and we will utilize you to the best of your abilities. Can't guarantee that with Mick Cronin, but that's just what that's what they got. So you can either go small ball with Morez Johnson Jr. and run with that Final Four team where you go 6'9" at center, like Cody Riley, but do that with Morez Johnson Jr., who clearly has talent, clearly has rebounding capabilities, wants the basketball, shoots at a high clip, and I think UCLA could utilize Johnson as a starter. If that's the case, if he decides that's where he wants to go in the transfer portal. Or you call Magoon Guath, who at this moment is probably one of the 2 best big men out there left for UCLA to go get. Now that all these guys are signing today, Williamson, Clough, all the other big men are finding new homes. Like, it's just not a good day to have your big man leave and have all the other ones commit elsewhere. Because then UCLA is like, oh, we got a lot of cash. What are we going to... They can't just go small. We saw them go small last year. They struggled against bigger lineups. They couldn't rebound the basketball. Now, if they go and find a bunch of 6'8", 6'9", tough big men that are brutal in the post to rebound and can score, that would be one thing. But the UCLA Bruins had a different element when Aday Mara was on the court. When he played 15 or more minutes, they were nearly unbeatable. And when they got beat, it was because they didn't have the backcourt depth to deal with it. They got the improvement at the point guard spot with Donovan Dent. You've got the commitment from all the other guys who were talent with the continuity. It just didn't come in the form of Aday Mara. And if this ends up playing out the way that it is right now with all the reports, this is devastating. I mean, it's just like the Morez Johnson Jr. situation. You might see the same guys talking about the same things, how Morez was literally committed to Illinois and then left. Aday was basically on the verge of coming back to UCLA, goes home to Spain. People are wondering what's going on. I don't have the latest. I haven't seen the latest, but it is just, he's not supposed to come back. All right. It's not, I don't know if it's transfer portal, if it's pro somewhere, if it's international. I don't know. But now that class of 2023 might go down as one of the worst classes in UCLA history. And this is in the year where UCLA has 0 signed commits in 2025, 0 high school commits. And somehow that class of 2023 might go down as one of the worst with how it ended up being. And I was very high on those guys, maybe wrongfully. Aday Mara ended up being really good. Brandon Williams is still with the program for now. But could you imagine all those guys when Cronin went elite, unproven freshmen in some regards, and they're almost all gone? Like, all gone. That is a big knock on Cronin from a couple years ago heading into now. Now, I wonder if it's Aday and maybe Cronin couldn't do anything. Or is this Cronin and Aday was unsure? I'm not sure if this is a family situation where the mindset got twisted. Sometimes kids are very influenced by their families. Maybe it's homesick. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not going to keep throwing things out there. But was this something Mick Cronin could have prevented? If you see from his usage rate how things changed, obviously the Bruins got sick, and then Aday Mara got even sicker at a different portion of the year, so Cronin couldn't use him as much. From Cronin's quotes, okay. But is this something Mick Cronin could have prevented? It seems like it if it's a time and play thing, but is this some situation where maybe even the best of coaches, even the best of situations wasn't going to? I don't know just yet, and we'll probably learn more. It's a developing situation, and it's brutal. It is absolutely brutal that he is not returning. Maybe something switches, but it's an April Fool's joke. Oof. Well, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel, and March Madness is here, and even on the last day of March, man, FanDuel is still giving you a chance to get on the action like never before. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. $200 extra bucks to use on anything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. The FanDuel app is super simple to use, and when you win, you can get paid instantly where there's no waiting around. Visit FanDuel.com and get in on the action, the college hoops action, all tournament long. Well, that's going to do it for us here in Locked On UCLA. The brutal news, Aday Mara is out, reported at first by Bruin Report Online, and then I saw more reports secondly with LA Times, Ben Bolch putting stuff out there. But first, Bro Report, give them the proper credit. They got it first. They had the scoop, and man, that is brutal. That is absolutely devastating to UCLA's recruiting efforts in this off-season heading to the 2025-26 season. Now, there's still a couple of guys out there, but UCLA has to act quickly because even in the names I've said, maybe they're already gone, right? In the blink of an eye, it changes that quickly. This guy's here, and he could pair up with Aday. Now Aday's gone, and that guy could be the main guy. That is how quickly things can change. The Bruins have to act quickly, throw some NIL opportunities at somebody, and have a quick recruiting pitch saying, hey, you wouldn't be 1B. Actually, you'd be the guy, and we desperately need you without the desperation stinking up the room. Hopefully that's not the case. In the meantime, Bruins fans, I know you don't want to do it. A clap, though. All right, hands up. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.